I never believed in ghosts. Not until I moved into that old Victorian house at the edge of town. It loomed over the street with its dark, weather-beaten facade and ivy-clad walls. The rent was cheap, and I needed a place to stay while I finished my studies, so I shrugged off the rumors about the house being haunted. The first few weeks were uneventful. I settled into a routine of classes and late-night study sessions, barely noticing the creaks and groans of the old house. But then, things started to change. It started with whispers, soft and indistinct, like the rustling of leaves on a windy night. At first, I brushed it off as my imagination playing tricks on me, but the whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if trying to communicate something to me. I tried to ignore them, burying myself in my books and drowning out the sound with music, but the whispers persisted, growing louder and more unsettling with each passing night. One evening, as I sat at my desk poring over notes, I felt a chill creep into the room, despite the warmth of the summer night. The whispers grew louder, more urgent, and I could sense a presence in the room with me, something dark and malevolent lurking in the shadows. I glanced up from my books, my heart pounding in my chest, and that's when I saw her, a woman, dressed in a tattered white gown, standing in the corner of the room, her eyes hollow and filled with malice. I froze, unable to move as she glided towards me, her feet making no sound against the hardwood floor. The air grew thick with the stench of decay, and I could feel her icy breath on my neck as she leaned in close, her lips moving soundlessly as if trying to speak. I wanted to scream, to run, but fear held me in its grip, paralyzing me as she reached out a ghostly hand and traced a cold finger down my cheek. And then, as suddenly as she appeared, she was gone, leaving me alone in the suffocating darkness. I stumbled out of the house, gasping for breath, my heart still racing with terror. I tried to convince myself that it was just a trick of the light, a figment of my overactive imagination, but deep down, I knew the truth. The house was haunted, and I was trapped in its grip. Night after night, the whispers tormented me, their voices growing louder and more desperate with each passing hour. I tried to leave, to find refuge elsewhere, but something held me back, a force beyond my comprehension that bound me to that accursed place. I became a prisoner in my own home, my days consumed by fear and paranoia as the whispers followed me wherever I went. I could feel their presence lurking in the shadows, watching me, waiting for the moment when they would claim me as their own. And then, one fateful night, as I lay awake in bed, the whispers reached a fever pitch, swirling around me in a maelstrom of sound and fury. I closed my eyes, praying for it to end, but the whispers only grew louder, more menacing, until they were all I could hear. And then, in the midst of the chaos, I heard her voice, the woman in white, speaking to me from beyond the grave. She told me of the house's dark past, of the unspeakable horrors that had taken place within its walls. She spoke of murder and betrayal, of lost souls doomed to wander the earth for all eternity. And then, with a chilling certainty, she told me that I was next, that my fate was sealed the moment I set foot in that cursed house. I wanted to scream, to beg for mercy, but her words held me in their grip, binding me to my inevitable fate. And then, as suddenly as it began, the whispers faded into silence, leaving me alone in the darkness once more. I knew then that there was no escape, no hope of salvation. I was doomed to join the ranks of the lost souls that haunted the halls of that accursed house, condemned to spend eternity in the shadow of its dark and terrible secrets. And so, dear reader, if ever you should come across that old Victorian house at the edge of town, heed my warning, beware the whispers that lurk within its walls, for they may be the last thing you ever hear.